I think it's pretty consistent. I mean, we knew there were some constraints given contracts that we're paying for that are, obviously run off at the end of this year or maybe at the end of next year. And so there were some money constraints, right? I mean, at some point, everyone's got a budget, but generally, I'm really pleased at what we've created, the depth on this team. We've talked about the defense is going to be so much better. And so you can imagine there'll be a lot of games that we're going to be in it. Our bullpen's deeper. And I think, to play over 162 games, you need that. And so I think it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I think we built a club that's going to be there in September.
Bruce?
Steve, you used the term reset a lot during the offseason.
Well, you used it. I didn't.
I'm asking
you
if that's a fair word or how you would view the upcoming season.
I don't view it as a reset. I view it as, resetting. I would call it we're transitioning, okay, and yet still being highly competitive. And I think that's a hard thing to do. And based on what I see on the roster, I think we've accomplished that.
Tony?
I think this is your fourth opening day as owner. How, if at all, has your perspective on this day changed over the years?
As you get a veteran, obviously the first one is, a lot different than the fourth one. But there's still like chills. You walk around the park and the fans are excited, and you can just see, it's hopeful. We're undefeated. We haven't lost a game yet. It's fantastic. So, listen, it's a rite of spring, baseball. Our fans love baseball. I love baseball, and so I get excited because I get to watch baseball again.
Anthony,
Steve, you proceeded here by David and Carlos. Do you see those guys now as hey, 10 years from now you could still have the same management team? And how different is that from the last 4 years? We've had a lot of front office and.
Listen, that would be every team is looking for stability. I mean, that's my goal. I think we have people in place throughout the organization that's going to create that. In any business, you don't want a lot of change, okay, because it's just disruptive to the organization. And so I think we've got the right people in place, I would anticipate that it'll be a lot less turnover than we've seen in the past. Listen, I mean, I knew they'd be excited by it. I wanted them to know before it actually broke, and they were, and certainly Pete is, and so listen, that's good, right? I mean, we obviously lengthened the lineup, and with somebody who's a professional, someone who's performed on all levels. And just from a locker room presence and from a teaching presence, we're going to get added benefit. Spending $375 million we did last year seemed a little bit over the top, and then on top of it, the problem with free agency is you're dealing with the aging curve, and so you just don't know when your players are. If you have enough free agents, eventually you're going to look like the free agent curve, and sometimes that doesn't work out very well. I mean, over time you get a declining performance, and yet you're still paying a lot of money for that. And so, we got to find a blend that works. And I'm not afraid to spend money, but I just don't want to be just spending money for the sake of. I want this organization to be run efficiently. I want it to be run professionally. I really, and I've said this for a while. I truly believe the only way to get there in sustainability is developing talent. No different than my hedge fund, where we develop a lot of talent as opposed to trying to buy free agents from other firms.
Steve,
back to the J.D. Martinez signing one more time.
Yep.
You mentioned the excitement of the three that you texted and Pete specifically. For those guys, do you feel like it was important, beyond just what type of a player J.D. Martinez is, to show to them that, hey, we're not punting on this season, that we're bringing guys in because we do want to win this year as well?
Yeah, I don't think that was the driver. I mean, I would say that was a benefit of getting J.D., that obviously the players were excited by playing with him. And Pete's, been pretty clear that, he'd like some, people behind him that it could have been him or somebody else. Hopefully, one of our young players would have developed into that. And so, but he's a proven talent, great presence in the locker room, and so it was an opportunity that we just couldn't pass up, and you could tell by the reactions that the players agreed.
Laura?
You mentioned being in there in September. Are there any other quantifiable benchmarks that you feel that you have to hit so you can look back on the season and say, okay, this was a success?
I think the goal is to make the playoffs. Pretty simple. Let's not overthink this. If we don't make the playoffs, obviously I'd be disappointed.